of La Marque, and like you nailed it, off the beaten path for sure. So woohoo, great job, thank you. Yes, we've been out here for going on 17 years, and exactly what you said, off the beaten path. We came to Italy and we fell in love with it. And when we decided we wanted to move here and start something, we thought, one, we were young and didn't have much money, but we thought, let's pick somewhere off the beaten path. I was raised on Rick Steves' guidebooks. He's even from the same town over from where I grew up. And so that kind of off the beaten path, the backpackers guides and all of that, we thought, let's get, everyone had suggested Umbria was the next Tuscany, but we thought that's not even what we're really interested in. We want to learn from the locals. And as we discovered La Marque, kind of more, not so romantically, but strategically, we thought this is kind of a great spot if you, especially as an American traveler who wants to kind of go from maybe Rome to Venice on a trip, and this could be an off the beaten path way to get there. But that obviously would mean we'd have to work harder because not a lot of people knew of the area, but it's so rich, like you said, in great culinary history and access to the sea in about an hour for us, but also being in the woods and the hillside. We've got the truffles, like you said, and the great pork is king for sure.
So you're both American from the Bay Area, the San Francisco area. Is that correct?
Jason grew up in the San Francisco area, from Danville, California, and
Okay.
I grew up in Seattle. For the people who watch The Deadliest Catch out there, I grew up in Ballard, where those guys all would come in, and then we met in college, moved to New York. I had majored in theater, so I was doing acting, but also working, doing high-end at private dining clubs and athletic clubs, kind of public relations in a bit, member relations. And so I was already in this hospitality world. And Jason went to culinary school. He went to the French Culinary Institute. Jacques Pepin and Jacques Torres and all the big guys were there. This was way before anything got popular about flashy cooking schools and things like this. And then, yeah, he was a chef in New York, and we decided to switch it all up.
So what made you pick Italy?
Well, it's stupidly romantic. We came to Italy on our honeymoon. We had traveled before, but so it wasn't like this was the first time leaving the country, but we came to Italy on our honeymoon and just fell in love with the quality of life, the pace of it. It was so different than the Italian food we had grown up with, and then especially living in New York at that time, and kind of the very saucy Italian food. And this was so much more seasonal and light and fresh, and the pace of coming home for lunch and the quality of life of people having gardens and having that be more important than the size of your television.
It's a very sustainable sort of a lifestyle. I think that's kind of what you guys were looking for.
Well, we also wanted something that we wanted to learn from the Italians. So how to live this life that we were seeking and that drew us to the area. And luckily, La Marque, and especially our little area, had very few tourists, let alone expats. And we were taken in right away, and they taught us the ways because they kept saying, "What are you going to teach?" And we thought, well, whatever you're going to teach us. Because Jason studied French cooking and kind of a Mediterranean background of style of cooking as well. But it was like, no, he's got to learn from the locals. And they all kind of took us in under their wings since we were to them babies. And they started teaching us all of the recipes and they didn't care if we were foreign or if we were blood. They wanted to pass on these recipes and these traditions so much because this younger generation wasn't as much interested in it. So they were so proud. They were like, of course you want my sugo recipe. It is, and then, so they were great.
I haven't even mentioned that you actually have a farmhouse with accommodation and a gorgeous pool. So it's kind of not just, drop in for a cooking class, but you stay there and you organize different day trips and you teach other people who are traveling from the States or elsewhere how they could maybe do the same thing you're doing and move here. And there seems to be, now that the digital nomad is active and live, there are ever more people wanting to move here. So you do that with the accommodation and the great food that you have when you're staying at your farmhouse. You also do these wonderful classes with Jason, right?
Always the idea was to connect people through the food. And I thought that picking a little known region would be great because people would need like a key almost. When we would travel, we would at lunchtime hear these, you'd be hungry and you'd start smelling these smells that would lead you down corridors, but then you would find there's no restaurant. It's just the Italians eating lunch upstairs. And I kept thinking, if I just had a key to their door, I'd sit with them and have lunch. And I thought maybe we could be that key to open up this part of Italy, of La Marche, to people who wouldn't necessarily be able to discover it because there wasn't also many guidebooks in English. So we thought, all right, we'll get to know the local recipes and we'll be that kind of guide and link to the area to get them in to feel like a local, like we always want to do when you travel. And so it's definitely for people who wanted to get their hands dirty and be in a bit more of a rural setting and come down and collect the eggs from the chickens with me in the morning if you want, to picking the vegetables straight from the garden, to go to the cooking class. Now, it's a long dirt road to get down here, so you really have to want to come. But you definitely, even though we're American, we've become very local, Piombese, but to definitely give you that kind of insight and behind the scenes feel, taking you to different market tours and learning those traditional recipes. But the other part that we didn't quite realize that would happen was a kind of that we would weirdly somehow inspire people to want to do this too. And I think also it was because we did it so young. We didn't come from any sort of money. We just put in our sweat equity and worked hard to get here. And that somehow that has connected with people who are interested in making a change. And because I think so many people want to do it and life gets in the way and it's easy to stumble. But we went from being on our honeymoon here to living here in a year and a half, and moved here, got our visa, started a business. And so we always feel like if we could do it, anyone can. And so it's been fun to help people. After we were running the business for about 10 years or so, we started to get inquiries about how do we do it and this and that, and started doing some workshops. And then after COVID, did virtual workshops, and we still do those, and kind of help people along their journey answer all the crazy questions you have, and just to kind of have someone to bounce off ideas for business versus even looking for a property and things you don't even think about. Like, what's the position of the house for the sun? Maybe that's why the price is so low. Little things like that just happen from experience of being here. And that's been a real fun kind of side effect that we didn't expect of being able to connect with people that way.
And I know that you're like off the beaten track, but they're also, you do need a car, as
Yes.
you've mentioned on your website, but I think that's always nicer, unless you're staying in a city center, it's nicer to have a car
Well, you
because
get to explore and get
yeah,
lost. You're
yeah.
on vacation, Don't get stressed out driving. First of all, roundabouts, I know, freak people out, but just stay in it. If you don't know which one, just go around again. It's okay. Italians can be crazy fast drivers and pass. But listen, you're not in a hurry to get anywhere. Let them do it. They're not aggressive, and just take the back roads. You'll get here. And not only is it a little badge of honor, the guests always tell their war stories of the roads and whatever on their first night. But it gives you the opportunity. We're so rural that then you can go and explore some of the festivals or take a day trip to the coast. It's only about 45 minutes away. And so it's much more convenient. Every once in a while, groups will come with like a big van together. But I do get nervous when sometimes people get dropped off at a taxi, and I think, oh my, a car is definitely necessary.
Some of the places that you can visit are just absolutely jewels within Italy. And Urbino is